Hi, this is Charlie giving you Monday's market commentary, and I hope you're very well. Last Monday, I mentioned speaking to a trader at the London Investor Show who was asking me questions on the psychological side of trading and how to overcome discipline. And so I gave him one trick, and I'd forgotten what it was, and I appealed on last week's video update, and he kindly got in touch and emailed me and said, oh yeah, it was this that we were talking about, so it reminded me of who it was and what I was talking about. And because his question was revolving around discipline and how do you maintain that discipline, stopping yourself from just going into that extra trade that you then kick yourself afterwards and for taking and all of those sort of things. And one trick, and it's, psychologists will use this in many different walks of life for different people in different careers. But it's to remove yourself from the situation slightly and talk to the third person, so to speak, even though you're on your own. So what we mean by that is, before taking that trade, just trying to stop yourself from just clicking on the left mouse button before you know it, you're in a trade, and so just asking someone else, a third party, as if someone like Kim or myself was there in the room with you. You would actually turn to us and say, okay, is this all right to take this trade, sort of thing. And by doing that, you detach yourself from the moment, and you just, if you had a mentor sat with you, you would be a little bit more, maybe a bit more cautious than just rushing into a trade. And so obviously we can't always have someone sitting by us every time we're trading. So one trick is to use some sort of symbol or whatever it might be and talk to that symbol. Now, some traders will use something like a teddy bear just on their desk, like a little mascot or something like that, and talk to the mascot or whatever it might be and just say, okay, what do you think to this trade? By doing that, what you're actually doing is you're using different neural pathways, and you might just, by asking yourself effectively that question, by talking to the symbol, it may just actually make you think, hold on a second, no, I shouldn't be taking this trade. So that's the one little trick there, and I know some people will think, oh god, that sounds a bit strange, but it's, it comes from psychologists use it, and it's a great way to just remove yourself from the situation slightly and to sort of think, okay, yeah, what should I do here? Oh no, maybe I shouldn't be taking this trade because such and such and such isn't right, as opposed to just jumping in because you're thinking, right, okay, I'm going to jump into this right now, and before you know it, you're already in, and then it's too late. So that's my little tip for this week, is using some sort of mascot, and name your mascot and talk to your mascot prior to making trading decisions. You'll be amazed at just how sometimes it can change your view on something. Okay, right. I don't really like doing too much market analysis here at this time. Kim does quite a lot of market analysis anyway, but nevertheless, if I can zoom out slightly on the likes of the Dow and the S&P, then what we can see is the markets have gone to new highs again. So, but we've got this sort of expanding wedge. If I was to put some trend lines on, what we've got here. Actually, if I put it about there, oops, need to click off it, something like that. And if I then if I could actually draw on correctly, which I can't, then we can see that we've got just roughly, we've got this sort of expanding wedge type pattern here on the Dow. So for now, the market obviously is still going higher. I thought last week that it might just top out a Fibonacci retracement, but it didn't. But it's been an amazing correction off of the correction, so to speak, a great V-shaped bottom. And so for now we are still going higher. If we go to the S&P will be looking very similar, and so they've both broken to new highs. I'm sure the S&P did break to new highs. I'll have to double check that. I'm sure it did. And so but I was thinking that we might actually top out sort of close to those highs and then stumble around for a week or two, and then might then want to come down for a retest. Obviously that's not happened. So for now, until proven otherwise, the trend remains up again. One thing I would say is when I go out to the likes of the monthly charts here, actually it's not showing, so let's just click on that. When I go out to the monthly charts, we can see we've got a nice hanging man candle up there. And I'm just wondering whether in the coming months, and it could take several months to play out, that after a few months of upside, it's just looking like a topping process to me at the moment. On the higher time frames. Now that topping process could take a few months to play out, and obviously in the meantime still go higher again yet, so still that's fine, but I am seeing some signs of sort of topping signs with the way that the price is. I can't go into all the details obviously in a free update. So maybe at some point next year, in the earlier, where are we now? No, we're into November now. So yeah, in the first half of next year, I'd be looking for another correction. But I can't tell on the timings just yet because I haven't got sell signals obviously coming just yet. I mean, for all we know, the Dow could do another 1,000 points to the upside. So that's based on the higher time frames and still be in a topping process. So. But I would have thought that in the first half of next year I'd be looking to see if we then came for another test back down. So I'm not looking for any major bear market, just looking for a secondary test. So we shall see about that. But that's possibly a way off yet because of the way that the monthly charts are. Right, so that's that for that. Let's go on to the daily charts. So for now, market remains up. Obviously it could do a little pullback at any time, but really any pullback until proven otherwise is just a pullback because we have broken some new highs here on the daily charts. Let's go and have a look at a couple of the other markets. Let's have a look at the currencies. Let's have a look at the pound on the daily charts. Yeah, interesting on the pound at the moment. We rolled over again last week. But we put divergences in from the early September lows through to the early October lows. We haven't actually tested this daily 50 moving average in quite a long time. I'd love to see that get tested. I don't know if it's going to. Maybe we're just in the process of breaking down to new lows again. So at the moment I'm a bit undecided as to whether that's going to happen, but certainly I know that we've got some divergences in the background, and if I go out to the likes of the weekly charts, then there is some scope for some upside if it wants to garner some traction. There is some upside scope. We are still sitting around the weekly 200 period moving average, and we have been for several weeks. So it's just a case of seeing whether the pound can actually get a leg up or not, or whether it is actually going to break down lower. Obviously the daily trend has been down, and it's the same with the euro. But again, we've got this old trend line here, if I can extend that. So what we've been doing since breaking out of that trend line, oops, let's see if I can get this correct, that's about right. We've broken out, come back to retest, broken higher again, come back down to test again. So I'm still a bit undecided on the pound. I'd like to see a little bit more information. Maybe by next week or by Friday we'll have a bit more information to hand. But for now, yes, the trend is weak, and it could want to come down and break some new lows. If it does that, it'll do that with the euro. But if it does come up a bit and it gets back up to sort of maybe 161, then I think that there's some potential for a bit more upside. So we'll keep an eye on that one over the coming week. As for the dollar yen, which we must cover off, obviously with the Bank of Japan's intervention again last week, it's just been on a storm, a huge move that we've seen late last week on Friday. And it's still following through to that again. And really, if we come out to the likes of the monthly charts, the next upside targets on the dollar yen are up into the low 120s. So we're talking about 800-900 pips potential upside yet on the dollar yen. I thought we might want to at some point test this monthly 21 moving average. So far it doesn't want to play for that at all. It's just keeping on going, and this was always going to be the overall upside target. So the dollar yen up into the low 120s is certainly a possibility, but obviously that's on a monthly chart. That could still take months to play out, even though in the last week or two it's done several hundred pips, and of course it's possible that it could do it in another week or two the way it's moving at the moment. But it could also, if it did decide to consolidate, then it could take several months. But certainly in the long-term projections, we've got to be looking up to there. Right, I shall leave that with you and be back on Friday.